Hi guys, Marissa Schultz here, author of The Rise High Investor, here for another little weekly nugget of gold for all of those property investors out there. Today we are talking about adding value through a cosmetic renovation. So we've probably all seen those shows like The Block, which make cosmetic renovation really appealing, and it's become very attractive and very popular to want to buy a property, do it up, and then make some money out of it. So here are my thoughts on how you can add value through a cosmetic renovation and what to look out for. I think that cosmetic renovation can work really, really well, and especially if you're handy and you can do some of the work yourself, because often a lot of the cost in the renovation comes in the trades. So if you can save some money by doing some of the work yourself, you're already one step ahead. It is a great way to build the value of your property and create equity and manufacture your own equity growth rather than having to wait for the market to do its thing. But it's also a great way to increase the value of the rent. If you're planning to hold the property beyond the renovation, it can make the difference between you getting, X amount for rent, and you can actually increase that rent by a certain percentage depending on what renovation work you've done. This is the strategy of buying the worst house in the best street. So basically what you're looking for is you're looking for a house that's structurally sound but looks pretty crappy and has some things that can be easily fixed that won't cost an arm and a leg but will add more value than the amount of money that you're putting into it. Okay, so the sorts of things that you can do to add value to a property that might make a difference to the valuation is things like, it can be as simple as painting and landscaping, or it could be something like resurfacing the kitchen and bathroom cupboards, the bench tops, replacing the handles. Things like that can actually make a big difference to the aesthetics of a property and can impact the value of the rent and the value of the equity that you can actually get out from it. You can also do things like, turn windows into exterior doors, extend and expand the outdoor living spaces. More living spaces can often result in a higher perceived value. You could do things like make two small rooms, knock down a wall and make it larger to have larger living spaces, more open plan, modern type layout. Or you might have a really big space that you could turn into two rooms, which will create an extra bedroom or an extra bathroom, which can also potentially add value to the property. Whatever you do, I really recommend getting some advice from a experienced real estate agent or property manager who can actually come through the property with you initially when you're deciding what to do, to tell you what actually is worth spending money on. What is actually going to increase the value of your house or increase the value of your rent? Because ultimately, if you're doing this strategy as an investment strategy, you want to make sure that for every dollar that you're spending on the property, you're getting more than that back. Because it's not worth doing renovations on the property that you're not going to make back in additional rent or additional value. So make sure you think about that. And if you're not experienced at managing these renovation projects, then it might be a good idea to get a project manager or someone that can help you just to ensure that you've managed your timeline, because time is money. So you don't want this renovation to drag on too long, because that's going to impact on your ultimate return. So I guess the other thing that I want to point out is that, there might be an option that you can borrow the money to actually fund the cosmetic renovations, but you may have to fund the renovations yourself. So make sure you've spoken to your mortgage broker about what you can afford and what you can do in terms of getting your funds together for the renovation project. But I do want to, come out there with a big warning. It is very easy to overcapitalize when you're renovating. As I've said, you don't want to be spending money on things that are not going to result in increased value. If you are doing that, then you could find yourself in a position where you've actually spent more on the property than what it's worth. And that's a situation that we definitely don't want. And I also think that it's important for me to point out that, shows like The Block that make it seem really easy to buy a property, do a cosmetic reno, and then flip it really quickly. It's not always the way it works in reality. So if you're going into this strategy thinking that you're going to buy, renovate, sell, and make quick profit, in a quick turnaround time, you're really that's a really risky strategy, and you're really relying on the luck of where the market's at the point in time when you come to sell. So like you would know if you've watched previous videos of mine, I'm a big fan of buy and hold. I do like the strategy of improving the value of the property and the value of the rent through cosmetic renovation, but my preference personally is to hold the property beyond that renovation and to get an increased rental return for it. So there are my thoughts on adding value through cosmetic renovation. Hope they've been of help. You can actually contact me anytime if you've got any questions or any comments. You can leave a comment below, or you can contact me directly at propertyinvestor@risehigh.com.au. That comes straight to my inbox, and I love hearing your comments and questions. And just for a thank you for tuning in, you can actually grab a copy of my book for 50% discount. All you need to do is hop over to the website risehighinvestor.com.au and enter in the code video to get your discounted copy. Thanks again for tuning in. I will see you next week. Bye.